Hi there. I've got a question. Do you lead teams with the expectation of high performance? Does your team have a common understanding of what that even means? Well, fret not, because today we're going to find out how to help teams create their own path to high performance here at the Coffeehouse. Welcome back to the Coffeehouse, newly renovated and ready to brew up the questions and conversations that we use in the modern world of work. I'm Vic Bonacci, your barista on this journey. Today's topic comes straight out of one of my favorite books on working with teams, Coaching Agile Teams by Lyssa Adkins. First published in 2010, I've long recommended this book to leaders I coach and in my classes. Let me ask you, what motivates your teams? If you're familiar with Daniel Pink's drive, you might say autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Wrapped up in that is the quest for something resonant and worthwhile. Let's call this high performance, a team daily striving together to be the best they can be. As a leader, I expect this level of performance from my teams. Now, expecting high performance does not mean that you demand it. Instead, it means that you know achieving it is more than possible, it's normal. Your role as a leader at any level is to guide the team, compassionately yet firmly, toward that expectation. You create a sense of anticipation and excitement for this journey. And you lead by believing, because after all, if you don't believe that they can get to high performance, why should they? In her book, Lyssa talks about using an evocative metaphor to guide the team's understanding and progress, the high performance tree. Let's take a look. Yeah, I love this new space because here I am, still in the coffee house with you, but I can be at my teaching desk as well. So all good here. Let's go ahead now and have a look at this, the tree of high performance. It starts off, as you see, as just a simple metaphor. And if you could put yourself in that mindset, imagine that you are a gardener. Maybe you work in an orchard and you are planting trees. You want your trees to grow up strong, healthy, and bountiful so that they can yield fruit for all to enjoy. So if we extend this metaphor to your teams, we can still think of the team as high performing and talk about things like the structure of the tree as well as the fruit that it yields as the characteristics of your team and the value or the benefits that it provides to the organization. So let's start off imagining that you are in your orchard and you're looking for a place to plant your tree. What are the conditions that will help your team grow strong and to thrive? Well, for the tree, you want to look for good soil, not too sandy, not too rocky, as well as exposure to sunlight and water and other nutrients. So if you extend that to your team, what it looks like is that you've got a firm base of values. So now you can start off by asking your team what it is that they value and have a great conversation about team values, and that's all well and good. In her book, Lyssa Adkins uses the 5 Scrum Values as the conditions that have to be present so that the tree can take root and find nourishment. Now, the 5 Scrum Values, this is maybe something you haven't heard before. They were not existing in the first version of Scrum, in the white paper. They came about in later editions. In fact, the first time I found them written is from the book. Hey there, real quick, just interrupting to ask that if you like this video, go ahead right now and hit the thumbs up button. That helps us out a lot. Another thing that helps out is patreon.com/agilecoffee should give you access at any level to our behind the scenes footage. We do a video probably 3 times a week at least where we talk about really whatever is currently going on here at the Coffeehouse. In addition, it gives you access to whatever's brewing up, and these days that could include the Agile Coaches Toolkit or some of our other card decks, in addition to other products and services that we're giving out to build up our community. So we do that primarily through our Patreon page, patreon.com/agilecoffee for more. And finally, if you are a Scrum Master or an Agile Coach looking to up your game and you're interested in the Scrum Alliance certifications, that's my bag.
This your bag?
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? OnlineScrumClass.com for a full listing of all of the classes that I offer online. Now, back to the video. Agile software development with Scrum, and this is by Ken Schwaber and Mike Beadle, two folks who were there signing the Agile Manifesto. In the last chapter, they go on and they introduce the 5 values of Scrum, but in a nutshell, they are courage, the willingness to have conversations that might be difficult, focus, so not being distracted by a multitude of other things going on, openness, and that goes back to that idea of transparency in the empirical process, right? The visibility into things going on, nothing is hidden. Commitment, the commitment to the team's goals, to the goals of the organization, to the processes that we're using. And finally, respect, knowing that we all are people trying our best, bringing our skills to bear. So you, as the coach, are always trying to model these values back to the team, creating an environment in which these values can emerge and build the team and give it that nourishment, that nutrition that the team needs to grow up healthy and strong. Back to our tree metaphor. The tree is taking root now in a great environment of rich, fertile values. And it's growing up nice and straight and strong. The trunk has this core strength. The limbs have the functions that are necessary in the team, proving out to be supportive of the team. And it won't be too long before you start to see some characteristics emerge. In the tree metaphor, you could call these the leaves of the tree. Now, Lyssa did a great thing. She borrowed not only the values from the Scrum Values, but she also borrowed these characteristics from another very powerful and influential book. This is something called Collaboration Explained, and it's by Jean Tabaka. Now, Jean is no longer with us, but she left us with a fantastic book here in the form of Collaboration Explained, Facilitation Skills for Software Project Leaders. In it, she uses a lot of her own anecdotes and stories, lessons that she picked up along the way on her own journey toward leadership. There's so much great information in this book. Again, one of the top books that I recommend, not only to leaders, but also in my classes. Now, in this book, Jean Tabaka talks about these characteristics, such as the team begins to own their own decisions and commitments. The team is self-organizing or self-managing, able to find their own direction without some outside person giving that to them. The team themselves, they begin becoming committed to team success. Rather than looking out for themselves as individuals, they look around and say, how can I help my team to rise above? And it's a very powerful thing. It further empowers the team to make better decisions and more decisions and hold themselves to account. The team realizes that they could make very good decisions by being consensus-driven and using constructive disagreement along the way. Remembering that some disagreement is necessary for teams. If you don't have any disagreement, that might be a warning sign that something maybe not so good is going on under the hood. This team now, they feel that trust is something that motivates them. Not fear, not anger, not anything else, but they trust. They trust in their own team members' ability and the goals that they've put forth. And finally, this team begins to feel that they can solve any problem. Give it to them and they feel that they can find a way. Now, if your tree is growing up nice and strong, the limbs and branches are taking shape, the leaves are now helping that tree to grow up even stronger, it won't be too long before the tree begins to bear fruit. Now, in your organization, this might look like people from outside of the team are beginning to see this team for what it can deliver and the value that it brings. They're looking at this team and saying, wow, this team is high performing. And here are the fruits that we as the organization can gain from that. First of all, we get our business value delivered faster. This team is picking up the pace, they're knocking things out, they're delivering with higher quality so that it tends to lead to faster delivery. In addition to faster delivery of business value, we're getting the right business value delivered by the team because they're incorporating the feedback mechanisms that they've got in place, hearing from each other and from their stakeholders and customers so that they could make sure they're on the right path to delivering what is valuable to the customer. The team is getting astonishing results, and people from outside the team are well aware of this to the point where they're ready to give that team any challenge that's existing in the organization because the team has proved that they can do anything. Not only is there room on this high-performing team for team growth and recognition, but also team members are discovering that there is indeed room for themselves as individuals to grow and be recognized. And so it's a wonderful thing. You can see all of these fruits taking place. And what else? There are other fruits that are on the other side of the tree here that maybe we can't examine quite yet. So if this metaphor works for you, I would advise you to learn how to sketch a tree on a whiteboard or a piece of paper and show this to your team. Use this metaphor, and if the tree doesn't work, maybe there's a different metaphor that you could possibly look at. Building a strong foundation for a house, for example. Metaphors are powerful things, and this book, Coaching Agile Teams, talks not only to the metaphor of the high-performing tree, but it gives you lots of other great information. I want to thank Lyssa Adkins for writing this book 15 years ago by now. And by the way, the audio version is also available. Coaching Agile Teams and the High-Performance Tree. Yet another tip that you can use from the Coffeehouse. Until next time, enjoy your coffee with friends.